Hi guys, Miss Perkins here. Today we're going to be talking about Module 1, Lesson 12. In this lesson, we're talking about being able to solve addition sentences with unknown parts. Also, with adding in this, it's going to also be having to solve some word problems as well, which is going to kind of be like a little review from what you did on the last lesson that we've done. So, first let's review a few things about what does it mean to add. Okay, that's super important that you even know what that means for whenever you're doing a number sentence. So whenever you add, that means you're putting things together. You're putting the two parts together. So you can kind of like picture these two puzzle pieces. Picture each puzzle piece being a part. And then whenever you put both of those puzzle pieces together, that makes your whole, which kind of like shows it right here. Adding is two small parts that become one big part. So this is one part plus your other part equals your whole. Okay, remember the whole is both parts together. Okay, so remember when you're adding it, your part plus your other part equals your whole. Okay, you're putting both of those parts together to make that big whole. So let's talk about what plus means. Plus means that we're going to add it. It tells us that we're going to add. We're putting it together. Equal means that both sides will be the same. So it's saying that this part plus this part is the same as both parts together. That's what it's saying. Okay? Now, let's remind ourselves of the steps that we used yesterday to solve the word problems. First thing is that we're going to have to read the problem until we fully understand it. Okay, we cannot just read it one time and think that we're ready to go and that we can solve it. No, you have to give yourself a few times to be able to actually understand what you're reading and what the word problem is telling you. Remember, a word problem is like a story, but something is always missing in a word problem that you have to solve. Okay, you're having to be that problem solver, okay, that number detective to figure out what is missing. Okay, so it's very important that you read it till you understand it. Next step is you have to circle the important numbers. Okay, making sure that the reason why we circle those important numbers is to make sure that we use those important numbers whenever we're solving. Next step is to underline the question. Remember, you look for that question mark that looks like this. Then it's going to be that sentence that is in front of the question mark. And it's what's important about the question that it tells us what we're having to figure out. Okay, it's giving us kind of like a big clue of what we have to figure out, what is going to be missing there. The next step is then we have to box any important information, any important words, anything that we think would help us solve the word problem. Remember, we're being number detectives. So that means anything in the word problem that can help us, we need to make sure that we are boxing it in to where we can use that later. Then the next step is think, which whenever you do cubes, it's C, which is circle, U, which is underline, B, which is box in, and then E, which is evaluate. Evaluate's a big word for us to remember and understand, which is why we kind of change it to think. Okay, because right now we are doing cubes. Okay, and cubes is E, which is evaluate, but we use a little shorter word, which is think. And then the last part is solve. But let's go back just for a moment to the E for evaluate, which means to think. Whenever you're thinking about how to solve the problem, I want you to ask yourself this $1 million question, which I have written in the bottom. Does the word problem give us the whole? Okay, so does the word problem give us the whole? That's something you always need to think about. Then you ask yourself, if it does give us the whole, if it does give us the whole, well, then what is the other part that it gives us, and what is missing? If it doesn't give us the whole, what are the two parts that it gives us? Okay, what do we have to figure out? Okay, what is the mystery? Then the next part, which the last steps are both to solve. So of course, whenever you solve, first, you draw a picture. That picture is a way for you to put all of your thoughts down into something that you're able to see and understand better than all these words. Okay, it's another way of organizing it. Then you do a number bond. That is another way. A number bond is another way to organize the word problem into numbers. The picture, of course, is in circles and X's, and the number bond is in numbers. Now, the last thing is that we have to write our number sentence. Our number sentence, we know, is that's going to tell us what is going on a little bit further, okay? Where we're adding, putting it together, whatever the case may be. Okay, so now let's move on to our first word problem. I really want you just to pay attention on how I am thinking about this word problem, how I'm thinking about how I'm solving it, okay? With these type of word problems, there is 2 different ways that you can solve it. I'm going to show you both ways. You only have to choose one. Remember, this is an I do, which means that I'm going to do it on my own. Okay, that means I just want you to watch how I solve it. So now I'm going to read it. Remember, I'm going to read it more than once. So it says, once upon a time, 5 little bears were playing in the forest. Then some more bears were swimming in the pond. At the end, there were 8 little bears in the forest. How many bears were swimming in the pond? Okay, so as I was reading, I was making a math movie in my brain, which kind of helped me figure out what was going on in the word problem. Now I'm going to do that again. I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to make that math movie. I'm going to picture these bears in the forest. Okay? So once upon a time, 5 little bears are playing in the forest. So you picture those 5 bears playing in the forest. Then some more bears were swimming in the pond. And I don't know how many were swimming, but I know some more were swimming in the pond. At the end, there were 8 little bears in the forest. How many bears were swimming in the pond? So, now I'm going to read this one more time all the way through so I make sure I completely understand it. Once upon a time, 5 little bears were playing in the forest. Then, some more bears were swimming in the pond. At the end, there were 8 little bears in the forest. How many bears were swimming in the pond? So as I was reading, I was doing that math movie in my brain about the 5 little bears playing in the forest. Then I had some more bears swimming in the pond. Then at the end, I had 8 little bears in the forest. How many bears were swimming in the pond? Now, guys, remember, my first step was to read the word problem so I completely understand it. Now I completely understand what I have read. So now my next step is that I am going to circle the important numbers. Well, I know that I'm going to circle 5 and I'm going to circle 8. Those I know are 2 important numbers. Now I'm going to underline the question. Remember, I'm going to find the question mark first. Then it's going to be the sentence right before it to get to the period. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to box in the important information. So, looking at this, what are we even talking about here? 5 what? 8 what? Well, we know that it's 5 little bears. So I'm going to box in little bears. It says then some more bears. Well, that some more, that is our mystery. Remember, we are number detectives, so we have to figure out how many bears were swimming in the pond. I also have to box in this little bears right here. Now, the next thing is I have to think about how I'm going to solve this problem, which is like doing that $1 million question. Does the word problem tell us the whole? So think about it. Does it tell us the whole? We know that there were 5 little bears playing in the forest. Then some more bears were swimming in the pond. At the end, there were 8 little bears in the forest. Well, we know that 5 was playing in the forest, some more were swimming in the pond. At the end, there were 8 little bears in the forest. This 8 is our whole. That's how many are playing in the forest all together. Okay? So now, looking at this, next thing we have to do is that we have to draw our picture. So, we're going to chunk it, which means that we're going to kind of read this again and we're going to draw our picture or what we see. This is the first way that I'm going to show you. Remember, I said I was going to show you 2 ways to solve. This is the first way. So 5 little bears are playing in the forest. So I'm going to draw my 5 little bears playing in the forest. 3, 4, 5. Then some more bears are swimming in the pond. Well, can I draw something here? No, I can't. It says some more. That's our mystery. We do not know how many. Then it says at the end, there were 8 little bears in the forest. So we know that altogether there's going to be 8. Right now on my picture, I only have 5. So I'm going to have to figure this out. So I can keep on adding on to my picture until I get to 8. So I have 5. Well, let's keep on adding some more until I get to 8. Now I am just going to add X's, remember, to where we can see our 2 parts easily. So I have 5 already. 6, 7, 8. Now let's do our number bond. Well, we knew that our whole was 8, so I'm going to write that. 5 was the part they gave us. We do not know this part just yet. We're going to come back to that in just a moment. Now let's do our number sentence. Remember, that is our part plus our other part equals our whole. Remember, our parts are always going to be hugging that plus sign, and the whole is going to be by itself with the equal sign. That's whenever we're adding. So now looking at this, we know that 5 is one of our parts. So 5 plus, this is our mystery. So I'm going to box it in. That's our mystery box. Equals our whole, which is 8. Now, we have to figure out what is our mystery part. Well, look at our picture again. We just drew it. Remember, we had 5. We had to keep on adding on until we got to 8, which is our whole. So how many did we add? 1, 2, 3. So we know that is 3 bears that were swimming in the pond. So 5 plus 3 equals 8. All right. Now, let's look at this next word problem again. In fact, let's go back just for a moment because Ms. Perkins said that she was going to show you the other way that you can solve this. So, the first way you can solve it is that you can count on, okay, with your picture. The number bond and the number sentence are going to stay the same. The only thing that you can do differently is your picture. So let me show you how you can do your picture differently. So this first way I showed you was that you drew your part they gave you and you counted on until you got to your whole, which in this case was 8. Another way you can do it is that you know that 8 is your whole. So you can draw 8 circles, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can circle the part they give you, which we know it's 5. So I can circle 5. So we know our 2 parts is how many we circled, which is 5, and how many we did not circle, which is 3. So 5 and 3 are our parts. So 5 plus 3 equals 8. Remember, this 3 was our mystery right here. We did not know this. But whenever you drew your whole and you circled the part they gave you, you knew that 3 was how many you had to add to that 5 to make the 8. Remember, that's 2 different ways that I'm showing you. You're going to be able to choose. You're not going to have to solve this and draw this picture in both ways. I'm just showing you both ways that you can draw your picture. It's whatever makes more sense to you. Now we can move on to our next one. It says, in the morning, Steve caught 8 fish at the lake. Jane caught 3 of the fish. How many fish did Steve catch? So now let's read this again. Remember, I'm making this math movie in my brain. In the morning, Jane and Steve caught 8 fish at the lake. So I'm picturing Jane and Steve catching 8 fish at the lake. Jane caught 3 of the fish. So I'm picturing Jane holding up 3. How many fish did Steve catch? So now I'm picturing Steve with a big old question mark because I don't know exactly how many he has. I'm going to read it one more time. Remember, I'm reading this next time because I want to fully make sure I understand what's going on. It says, in the morning, Jane and Steve caught 8 fish at the lake. Jane caught 3 of the fish. How many fish did Steve catch? So remember on our steps, we read the word problem until we fully understood it. Second thing is we have to circle the important numbers. Well, we know that Jane and Steve caught 8 fish at the lake. That is important. That's how many fish they caught together, both of them together. Jane caught 3 of those fish. So I'm circling 3 as well. That's all the numbers we have. Now it says, now our next step, is to underline the question. So I'm going to find that question mark, and I'm going to go backwards until I get to that period. That lets me know when to stop. My question is, how many fish did Steve catch? Now, my next thing is I'm going to box in any important information. So let's just start to kind of like understand what's going on, because sometimes it's not always going to be what it's talking about. I am going to box in fish because that's what we're talking about here, but that's not going to be the only thing we're going to box in sometimes. Remember, it's whatever helps you solve it. In the morning, Jane and Steve caught 8 fish at the lake. Where it says Jane and Steve, that gives us a clue. Remember, we are number detectives. We have to figure out these clues that are in here. Jane and Steve is a clue. That's telling us that this 8 is our whole. Okay, so that is important, because it's saying together Jane and Steve caught 8 fish. It's just worded a little differently. Now we have to think about how we can solve it, which, remember, is that $1 million question. Does the word problem tell us the whole? Well, yes, it does. Remember, we just said Jane and Steve. That gives us a big old clue that that 8 is our whole, which is why I put a W on top. Because remember, in math, whole is spelled with a W first, which is why I put a W. Now, it doesn't really tell us that Steve caught some. That's just, we already have to know that because that's in the question. How many fish did Steve catch? Well, it didn't tell us. We have to figure that out. So we don't have anything to box in really right now for Steve. Now our next step is to draw a picture, and then we have to do our number bond. Remember, there is 2 ways that you can do this. I'm going to show you both ways. You can draw your whole first, or you can draw your part first and count on. Okay, so I'm going to show you both ways, but I'm just going to show you, I'm going to start off by just chunking, which, remember, whenever I'm chunking it, I'm just going to start from the beginning of the word problem, kind of read it to understand, and take what I can to draw my picture. And then I'll read a little bit more, take what I can to draw my picture. It says, in the morning, Jane and Steve caught 8 fish at the lake. We know that 8 is our whole. So I'm going to draw those 8 fish. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, in fact, let me get my number bond. Let me draw my number bond. Because Miss Perkins sometimes forgets. Okay, and so I want to make sure I'm writing this in my number bond as well. I know that 8 is my whole, so I'm putting that in my number bond. Now let's keep on reading it and do a little more. Jane caught 3 of the fish. So there's 8 right here. 3 of these 8, Jane caught. So I'm going to circle 3, which you could have circled the 3 at the top. I just saw these 3 at the bottom, so I just circled those. So 3 is our part. And this is how many Jane caught. So I'm just going to put a little J right here. That's just for me to kind of like label to where I understand where these numbers are coming from. So that means this right here is our mystery for Steve. So I'm going to come back to this. This is our mystery for Steve. That's where we came for our number sentence. Well, I know that whenever we're adding, it's our part plus our other part equals our whole. Well, we know that Jane had 3, plus we don't know how many Steve has just yet. We know that they had 8 altogether. So now let's go back to our picture to figure out Steve's. When we know that Steve, we know they have 8 altogether. Jane has 3. I circled that. How many I did not circle is Steve? So let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Steve had caught 5 fish. So that means 3 plus 5 equals 8. Now, again, that was just one way. If you're saying, oh, Miss Perkins, that picture doesn't necessarily make sense to me. Well, I'm giving you another option of how you can do your picture. So the way I just did it was that I did my whole first and then circled the part they gave me. But you can do it another way. You can draw the part they give you, which is 3. This is Jane. And then I can count on until I get to my whole. Remember, my whole is 8. So that means whenever I count and say 8, that means I stop. So I already have 3. So I'm counting on from this 3, adding an X every time. Remember that X helps us to be able to figure out and be able to see our 2 different parts. So let's count this together. So I already have 3, 4, 5. Remember, I'm counting to 8. 6, 7, 8. Now I can see these 3 right here that are for Jane. Put a little J right here if I can. And then these X's right here are for Steve, which we can see it. There's 5 X's. So I got the same answer no matter which way I solved it. Okay, so remember, that's the 2 ways that you can solve it. Now let's move on. This is like a we do. So you don't actually have this in your workbook, but if you would like, you can get just like a blank sheet of paper to where you can just solve with me. You will not write the word problem down. You would just draw the picture, number line, and the number sentence. Remember that you can pause this video at any time if you need to be able to go get the paper or whatever the case may be. I would like for you to solve this with me. So if you could get a scratchy paper, I would appreciate that. All right. So now it says there were 5 chocolate cupcakes. Then we had some vanilla cupcakes. We had 9 cupcakes altogether. How many vanilla cupcakes were there? Ooh, this is making me hungry. Okay, so now I'm going to read it again. Now I'm picturing all these cupcakes. All right, so remember, make that math movie with me. There were 5 chocolate cupcakes. Then we had some vanilla cupcakes. We had 9 cupcakes altogether. How many vanilla cupcakes were there? Ooh, I'm picturing all these cupcakes. Okay, I'm going to read it one more time so I can fully understand it. There were 5 chocolate cupcakes. So I'm picturing these 5 chocolate cupcakes. Then we had some vanilla cupcakes. That some is telling us that we don't really know. We had 9 cupcakes altogether. So I'm picturing 9 cupcakes altogether. 5 of those cupcakes, remember, are chocolate. How many vanilla cupcakes were there? Well, that's what we're going to have to figure out, is how many vanilla cupcakes were there. So now we just read the problem till I completely understood it. Remember, I was making that math movie to help me understand it. Then it says circle the numbers. Well, I know that there was 5 and 9. That was important. I'm going to underline the question. How many vanilla cupcakes were there? I'm going to find that question mark, and I'm going to go all the way till I see that period. The question is, how many vanilla cupcakes were there? That is what you have to figure out. That's what we have to solve. Remember, we're detectives. We have to solve this mystery. Now you have to box in any important information. Well, first we know that there was 5 chocolate cupcakes. So I can box in chocolate cupcakes. There's this mystery word here. This mystery word, that means that we know the mystery is here. This some. Some helps us know that there's the mystery right here. There is some vanilla cupcakes. And we know there was 9 cupcakes all together. Ooh, I'm going to do this again. There is a word that's unboxing in that is super important that gives us a big old clue, which we're going to talk about that in just a second. So now I box in our important information. Now, let's think about how we're going to solve it. First thing, remember, whenever we think about it, $1 million question. Does the word problem tell us the whole? Well, Miss Perkins, whenever she was reading and whenever she was boxing in these important words, she found a word that helped or like gave her a clue of if it gave us the whole. There's this word right here, all together. All together means putting all those cupcakes together, they had 9. That means this 9 is our whole. Remember, the whole is whenever you're putting both parts together to make one big whole, okay? So all together is telling us that 9 is our whole because they had 9 cupcakes all together, chocolate and vanilla. So we know that it gives us 9 as our whole and 5 is one of the parts that we know. And then the some vanilla cupcakes, those vanilla cupcakes is our mystery part. So we have to figure that out. So I just put a P right there for our other part. Now, whenever you got that paper, you know that you need some blank space for your picture. You can draw your number bond to have it ready and write your numbers in, just like how it has right here. Line plus line equals sign line. Now, remember, if you need some more time, you can press pause on this video. But I'm going to keep on going to where whenever you press play, I'll be ready to go. So now remember, there's two ways that you can solve it, okay? A good thing is that I'm going to read this word problem one more time for you, and I want you to try to solve it on your own for a second, just to kind of just think about what is going on, okay? Just for a little bit, just kind of want to see if you have an idea of how we could solve it. So it says there are 5 chocolate cupcakes. Then we had some vanilla cupcakes. We had 9 cupcakes altogether. How many vanilla cupcakes were there? So it was 5 chocolate cupcakes, some vanilla. They had 9 altogether. How many vanilla cupcakes were there? Alrighty, guys. Remember, you can pause anytime you want. If you want more time to try to solve it on your own, please, by all means, pause it now to where you can try it and then you can check it afterwards. Remember, guys, there's 2 different ways that you can draw your picture. Okay? So, first way is that you can, or one of the ways is that you can draw your part and count on to get to your whole. So let's do that way. Remember, if you did it the other way whenever you were solving, then it's fine, as long as you get the same mystery part as me. So we know that there were 5 chocolate cupcakes. So I'm going to draw the 5 chocolate cupcakes. That is my part. So I'm going to write the 5. I'm going to put a C for chocolate. This helps me organize my thoughts a little bit. Then we had some vanilla cupcakes. We do not know how many vanilla, but I'm putting a mystery and a V for vanilla. Then we had 9 cupcakes all together. Remember that all together, that tells us our whole. So we know our whole, how many cupcakes we have all together, is 9. Well, I drew 5 already. Well, I have to have 9. So I'm going to count on until I get to 9. Remember, I'm adding an X every time. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now looking at this, I can see how many X's I drew. Remember, I already drew the 5 that was for chocolate. These X's are going to be for vanilla. This was our mystery. So now we're going to come back to that in just a second. Let's do our number sentence and kind of set it up. So we know there was 5 chocolate plus the vanilla, which is a mystery, equals 9, which is how many they have all together. Because remember, it's our part plus their other part equals our whole. So now, how many vanilla are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 vanilla. So I can write that right here, 4. So 5 plus 4 equals 9. Now remember, maybe that way wasn't the way that made sense to you. Remember, we have another way we can do it. You can draw the whole first. So you can draw 9 first. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you circle the part they give you, which is 5. The circles that you did not circle is your mystery part. Well, your mystery part is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 vanilla cupcakes. So 4 was our mystery that we had to solve. Alrighty, moving right along. Now this is, we're changing up a little bit, and we're going to just look at a mystery change number sentence, which means that what we're adding is our mystery, so we don't know one of the parts. So it's 4 plus blank equals 7. Well, look at this. They give you 4 right here. Plus, we don't know this mystery right here, which is going to give us 7 as the whole. Remember, it's part plus our other part equals our whole. So we have 4 plus some equals 7. So we already have 4. They already give us 4. Well, let's keep on adding until we get to 7, which is our whole. So we have 4. And then you can do circles or X's. Doesn't matter which one. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, how many did I just add? 1, 2, 3. Oh, mystery number is 3. 4 plus 3 equals 7. Now let's do one together. You can write this number sentence on a blank sheet of paper, and you can just write 5 plus blank equals 9. So you don't have to put the little question mark if you don't want to, or you can put a little bit more on top. So 5 plus some, we don't know how many, equals 9. So they give us the 5 fish, which is our part, plus our mystery part equal our whole. So we have to have 9 fish altogether. Well, they already give us 5, We have to add some more till we get to 9. So let's add more to this. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many did I just add? 1, 2, 3, 4. So our mystery was 4. All right. So now, remember guys, we're talking about being able to solve addition sentences with unknown parts. We're now going to do our problem set, which is going to be in your blue workbook, the workbook with the blue line on page 89, 8-9. If you need a chance to get there, please pause this video until you get to the page. It should look just like this. Now, let's look at this. We just did problems very similar to this. There's a number sentence, and we have to figure out the mystery number. So there's 3 books, plus some that's in the backpack equals 5 altogether. Remember, it's your part, plus your other part equals your whole. So there's 3 books, then some more in the book sack equals 5 altogether. So let's add more till we get to the 5. So that's 3, 4, 5. Well, how many did I have to add to that 3 to get to 5? 2. So 2 is our mystery. Now, I want you to try to do 2 and 3 on your own. So, in order for you to do it on your own, remember I want you to pause the video to be able to solve it. So this first one, number 2, they give you 5 cupcakes. There's some more in the box. Now there's 9 altogether. So I want you to count on until you figure out how many are in the box. I want you to do that now, please. I'm going to pause if you need to. So there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count on until you get to 9. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So how many did I have to add? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's go to this next one. Number 3, there's bananas. 1, 2, 3, 4 bananas. Some in the bag. Now there's 10 altogether. Well, count on. Remember, pause the video and count on, please. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's count on until we get to 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, how many did I have to add? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had to add 6. So 4 plus 6 equals 10. All right, so now moving on, we have some word problems, just 2. This is on page 90, so if you turn the page 1 time, this will be the page that you'll be on. We're going to do the first one together, then the next one I'm going to read the word problem to you, and I want you to solve it on your own. So now looking at this, it says Kate and Bob had 6 balls at the park. Kate had 2 of the balls. How many balls did Bob have? Remember, I'm going to read it until I completely understand it. Kate and Bob had 6 balls at the park. Kate had 2 of the balls. How many balls did Bob have? Ooh, so I'm picturing Kate and Bob having 6 balls at the park. Kate, picturing Kate holding 2 of those balls. And then I have to figure out how many balls is Bob holding. Or does Bob have? I'm going to read it one more time to completely understand it. Kate and Bob had 6 balls at the park. Kate had 2 of the balls. How many balls did Bob have? Now I am going to go ahead and draw my number bound just to have it ready. Now, I'm going to circle my important numbers. Well, I know that they had 6. Kate had 2 of the balls, so I'm going to circle the 2. Now, looking at this, I'm going to underline my question, which is my question mark right here. The question is, how many balls did Bob have? That's what we have to figure out. Now I have to box in important information. Well, we know that they had 6 balls, so I'm going to box in balls. Now it says Kate and Bob had 6 balls at the park. This helps us with a clue, a really, really big clue. Remember that $1,000,000 question, does the word problem tell us the whole? Well, it says Kate and Bob had 6 balls at the park. That means together they had 6 balls at the park. So we know that 6 is our whole. Remember, the whole means the 2 parts together. Okay? So that means that 6 is our whole. which I can even write that in my number bond so I do not forget. 6 is my whole. Now we know that Kate has 2 of the balls. How many balls did Bob have? So now we can draw our picture. Okay, so now remember there's 2 different ways you can draw it. You can draw it to where you draw your whole first and circle the part they give you, and the part that you did not circle is the missing part. Or you can draw the part they give you first and then count on until you get to our whole, which is 6. Either way is fine. I'm going to show you both. So Kate had 6 balls at the park. So I'm going to just draw my whole. I'm going to draw the 6 balls. Kate had 2 of the balls, so I'm going to circle 2. This is how many Kate had. This is Kate. We know that Kate had 2 balls. So I'm putting that my number on bond 2, so I don't forget it. We have to figure out how many balls Bob has. Well, this right here is how many that Bob had. How many is this? This is our mystery. Well, we're going to come back to that in a moment. Oh, this number sentence, guys, is trying to trick us. Look, it's the equal sign right here. Remember, the whole is always at the equal sign by itself. So this is the whole. The 2 parts is hugging the plus sign. If your parts are not hugging the plus sign, that means you have it wrong. Make sure that the parts are hugging that plus sign together. 1 part on each side of the plus sign. Now, looking at this, we can put our whole first, which we know is 6. That's how many they had all together. And we know that Kate has 2. We have to figure out how many Bob has. Now, how many does Bob have? Let's look at the picture. How many did we not circle? This is for Bob. 1, 2, 3, 4. We know that Bob had 4. So 6 balls equals 2 plus 4. So Bob had blank balls at the park. We know that Bob had 4 at the park. Remember, guys, you could have done your picture a little bit differently. Instead of drawing your whole first, you could have drew the 2 for Kate and then counted on until you got to 6. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now you can see the 2 circles are for Kate and the 4 X's are for Bob. Remember, either way is completely fine. So now, this next one. Remember, this next one you're going to do on your own, but I'm going to read it to you, and we're going to do cubes and talk about it for a minute, and then I'm going to get you to solve it. So now look at this. It says, I have 3 apples. My mom gave me some more. Then I had 10 apples. How many apples did my mom give me? So I'm going to read it again. So I had 3 apples. So I'm picturing those 3 apples. My mom gave me some more. Then I had 10 apples. So I'm picturing those 10 apples now after my mom gave me some more. How many apples did my mom give me? So now, I'm going to read it one more time. So I had 3 apples. I'm picturing those 3 apples. I'm picturing my mom giving me some more. Then I had 10 apples. So I'm picturing my 10 apples now. How many apples did my mom give me? So now, it'd be a good idea for you to go ahead and just put your number right there so you don't forget about it. So now, let's do cubes together. Remember, cubes is circling those important numbers, which we know is 3 and 10. Underline the question. I'm going to find the question mark up, and I'm going to go back until I see the period, which the period's right there. So that's it. My question is, how many apples did my mom give me? Now, I'm going to box in important words. Well, I know that I had 3 apples. So I know we're talking about apples. My mom gave me some more. That some more is my mystery. And then I had 3 apples. So after she gave me some more, then I had 10 apples. That means after she gave me some more, I had 10 apples. So think about it. Does the word problem tell us the whole? Well, I know that I had 3. My mom gave me some more. And then after that, I had 10. So yes, it does give us the whole. 10 is our whole. Because after I had 3, my mom gave me some more. If I put those together, 10 is how many I have. So 10 is our whole. Remember, the whole is the parts that you put together. So now, what is the part they give us? Well, we know that 3 is a part they give us. That's how many we had at first. I'm putting that 3. So I can even put an F right here for how many I had at first. The part that we don't know is how many Mom gave me. So you could put an M for Mom or a G for gave, just something to kind of help you out. Remember, these labels, these letters I'm putting is just a little label to where you know what's going on. Kind of like a little way to look at the number bond to better see what the word problem is telling you. So now, in just a moment, I'm going to get you to solve this on your own. You're going to draw the picture, finish the number bond, then you're going to do the number sentence. Guys, remember, the number sentence is your part plus your other part equals your whole. Make sure the two parts are hugging that plus sign, and then your whole is by itself by the equal sign. I'm going to read it one more time, and then I want you to pause it and solve it by yourself. I had 3 apples. My mom gave me some more. Then I had 10 apples. How many apples did my mom give me? Please pause it now and draw your picture. Finish the number bond in your number sentence, please. And then unpause it when you're ready. Alrighty, guys, let's see if you got it right. So now looking at this, it said I had 3 apples. Remember, I'm going to show you both ways that you can solve it. So you can draw your part first, which is 3. Mom gave me some more. I don't really know how many, but I'm going to figure it out. Because I'm going to count on until I get to 10, which is my whole. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to figure this out. Well, coming to this number sentence for a second, I know that I had 3 as one part, plus my other part, which is a mystery. I don't know how many Mom gave me just yet, but I know that altogether I have 10, which is my whole. Now, how many X's did I have to add? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my mom gave me 7 apples. So Mom gave me 7 apples. Now, maybe you didn't do it that way. Maybe you drew a picture, and your picture was whenever you did the whole first, which is completely fine. So remember, the other way you can do it is by drawing your whole first. So I'm going to draw my 10 apples, which 10 is my whole. 9, 10. Then I'm going to circle the 3. This is how many I had first. So this is my 3 apples that I had. Now, how many did my mom give me? That's how many I did not circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Mom gave me 7 apples. Give yourself a pat on the back if you got that correct. Good job. If you did not get it correct, that's okay. Just make sure that you're looking at how I explained it, to where next time you will rock it out. So now let's move on. Now this is just like a little debrief. This is what we do just to kind of get our brain ready for our X ticket. So looking at this, there's these number sentences in the circle. We have to figure out what's the same about them and what is different about all of these. So I want you to pause the video and just think about what is the same about these number sentences and what is different. And then pause it, and then you can unpause it whenever you are ready to talk about it. Looking at this, I see that this one, the whole is in front. So that's one thing that's different. Then, one thing that I say that's the same though is that remember, whenever you're adding it, your part plus your other part equals your whole. Your part plus your other part equals your whole. Your part plus your other part equals your whole. Remember, the whole is first right here because the equal sign, so the whole equals the part plus your other part. Ooh, so what is missing? A part is missing on every one, so that is what is the same. Alright, so now moving on to the exit ticket. The exit ticket, guys, is in that same workbook that you were just in. It's in that workbook that has the blue on it, and it's page number 91. If you didn't close your workbook, it would be on that next page that you would have saw. The next ticket, remember, is something that you are going to do on your own. I'm going to read it to you, and you are going to solve it. And then after you finish solving it, you can unpause the video, and I will show you the answer. So it says, Bob caught 5 fish. John caught some more fish. They had 7 fish in all. How many fish did John catch? I'm going to read it again. Bob caught 5 fish. John caught some more fish. They had 7 fish in all. How many fish did John catch? Now I'm going to read it again, guys. Make sure that you are reading it and following along with me to where you better fully understand what's going on. So Bob caught 5 fish. Picture Bob catching 5 fish. John caught some more fish. So picture John catching some more. They had 7 fish in all. So picture all together Bob and John having 7 fish. How many fish did John catch? Alrighty guys, so now that we read it to be fully understood, I'm going to circle the numbers. So we know that Bob had 5 fish, and then they had 7 fish in all. So looking at this, I'm going to underline the question. So the question is, the question mark's right here, and I'm going to keep on going to see that period. Oh, I'm stopping right there. The question is, how many fish did John catch? So now, I have to figure out how many John caught. Now, you do not have to do a number bond. If you would like to do a number bond, you can. Remember, guys, the $1 million question. Does the word problem tell us the whole? Yes. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm going ahead of myself. I didn't even box in those important words yet. I'm sorry. So we know that Bob had 5 fish. I'm boxing in fish. John had some more fish. That is my mystery. I'm boxing in fish. And then they had 7 fish in all. Now we can do our $1 million question. Does the word problem tell us the whole? Well, there's a very important clue that tells us if the whole is here or not. It says, in all. In all is another way of saying all together. So it's saying both Bob and John caught 7. So together they caught 7. 7 is our whole. Okay, so remember, if you want to do a number bond to where you can kind of understand, you can draw your number bond just somewhere, and you can write your whole in there. Now, remember, I'm going to want you to pause the video. I want you to solve this on your own. Draw your picture. Remember, you can draw your whole and then circle the part they give you, or you can draw the part they give you and count on till you get to your whole, which is 7. Okay, so do one of those ways, then do your number sentence and the statement. The statement says John caught 7 fish. So that mystery, the mystery part is going to be what goes in that blank. So pause it now to solve it, please. All right, so now that you solved it, let's check our work. So we know that 7 is our whole. That's how many they had in all. Let's talk about an A for all. We know that Bob had 5 fish. I'm putting a 5 in there and a B for Bob. So remember, the first way you could have did it was you could have drew the part they gave you, which is 5. And then you count on until you get to 7, which that will give you how many John had. So 5, 6, 7. So, how many was it? 1, 2. So this is how many John had. John had 2. So remember, it's your part plus your other part equals your whole. So you know it was 5 plus that mystery, which was 2, equals 7. So 5 plus 2 equals 7. So John caught 2 fish. Remember, the mystery goes in the for the statement. Now maybe you did not solve it like this. Maybe you drew the whole first. Well, that is another great way that you can do it. The whole is 7, so you draw 7 circles. 5, 6, 7. Then I'm going to circle the part they give us, which is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to circle these 5 right here. How many did I not circle? Oh, 2. So either way you solved it, you should have gotten 2 as your mystery. Okay, this was your mystery. Okay, how many John had. Alrighty guys, now to kind of close our lesson for today, is just a few reminders. The first reminder, guys, is that there's your test review, because we have a test coming up next week. That is going to be, we have one more lesson to do, and then the next day will be our test. Okay, so we have about 2 more school days until our test. Okay, so we know that the test reviews are a little bit longer, especially since these are word problems. So it's going to take you a little bit of time. So which is why I give you a lot more days to be able to do it. Okay, so if you go informative, you can always start it now, and then you can stop and do some more later instead of doing it all at one time. I mean, it's where you can open it up more than one time. So do not forget, test is coming up. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions about anything that we did today. I cannot wait to see you guys back for our next lesson. You guys have a great day. Bye.